Today, we are taking an important step forward to ensure working Californians can retire with dignity and maintain a decent standard of living in the later years of life. Over 7 million workers in California currently have zero access to workplace retirement savings plans. Nearly 50% of middle-income workers are at real risk of sliding into poverty when they can no longer work. We think of retirement as something that is far, far away from now. But we have to recognize the lack of security so many Californians will face is a challenge that we have to tackle today. You simply can't rely on Social Security anymore. People are barely getting by today, and we have to empower entire communities to take advantage of financial instruments we simply did not have access to. In my first job, I barely understood what an IRA was, or could even fathom the thought of someone actually taking money out of my paycheck. Neither do so many low-income families and immigrant communities. My aunt, my tia Francisca, had to keep working until her body physically gave out. And she relies on me as her 401k or her defined benefit plan to help her through her retirement. We have to encourage working families to think about their retirement savings and to give them the easiest tools to make it a reality. The California Secure Choice Retirement Program is a first step to addressing this very important challenge. I'm extremely grateful to the Secure Choice Retirement Investment Board and the staff at the Treasurer's Office for their efforts to identify prudent and sustainable recommendations to ensure that we can meet all of our obligations to retirees. Now it's time for the legislature. Now it's time for the legislature to take the torch and put their insight into law so that millions of California workers can begin saving for retirement. And I also look forward to engaging with stakeholders across the board, even those who may oppose this measure at this moment. It's important that we have all stakeholders at the table so we can engage and talk about what the deep public policy issues that are before us at hand. I look forward to working with my colleagues in the legislature on both sides of the aisle to see this across the finish line. Tengo el gusto de anunciar hoy día un importante paso para garantizar que las familias trabajadoras de California pueden jubilarse con dignidad y poder mantener un estándar decente para vivir en la tercera edad. Ellos han trabajado arduamente toda su vida con el sudor de su frente y no cuentan con ahorros para su jubilación. Actualmente, más de 7 millones de trabajadores en California no tienen acceso alguno en su lugar de empleo, su lugar de trabajo, a un plan de ahorros para su retiro. Casi la mitad de los trabajadores de ingresos medios están en riesgo de convertirse en trabajadores de bajos ingresos, recursos, y enfrentar la pobreza cuando ya no pueden trabajar. El programa de retiro seguro de California es el primer paso, pero quiero enfatizar y subrayar, es un paso proactivo, es un paso gigantesco para enfrentar este reto. Agradezco a los miembros, al presidente de la comisión, John Chung, el tesorero del Estado de California, a la mesa directiva de inversiones para una opción segura de retiro y el personal de la oficina del tesorero John Chung por sus esfuerzos y sus recomendaciones sustentables del programa para hacer todo lo que podamos para que los trabajadores tengan éxito y garantizar el cumplimiento de nuestras obligaciones a los jubilados. Como dije yo hace unos minutos, mi tía Francisca y mi mamá, que descansen en paz, 2 señoras que jamás pidieron limosna en su vida, trabajando día a noche, los 7 días, haciendo todo lo posible para pagar el techo, agua y luz, ganando su salario, su sueldo con el sudor de su frente. Pero dos mujeres que nunca pudieron conseguir un plan de retiro de ahorros en su trabajo, limpiando casas y cuidando a los más ricos de este estado, de este gran país. Y ahora, con este nuevo plan, tenemos algo que es algo concreto y fijo. Es hora de que la legislatura tome antorcha y con su conocimiento para institucionalizar la medida para que millones de familias trabajadoras en California puedan iniciar su jubilación con dignidad y con respeto. Muchas gracias a todos mis colegas. Espero trabajar de cerca con mis colegas, salud, de ambas cámaras, igual como ambos partidos, republicano, igual como demócrata. So with them, it's with great pleasure that I bring my friend, a colleague of mine who went with me to Washington, D.C. Didn't have to go to Washington, D.C. with me, but decided it was the right thing to do and spent days in Washington with me. And if you can recall, these are not junkets by no stretch of the imagination, by no stretch of the imagination. So with that, I bring up our treasurer and the board chair of the Secure Choice, Mr. John Chung.
Good morning, and thank you, Kevin. I want to begin by thanking Kevin for your extraordinary vision and leadership. I hope this is a magnificent day for you. Your efforts, your passion to make sure that the 401k, and the K stands for Kevin, for your aunt, is fully realized, not only for Kevin's aunt, but for millions, in fact, 7 million Californians. This is a historic day. If you woke up and watched TV, you saw that the polling numbers across the country witnessed and highlighted deep frustration of voters about the economy. They're concerned about their future. But this is a very special day in California. Today, the Secure Choice Board, and I wanted to highlight my colleagues, Cynthia Pollard, Marty Morgenstern, Bill Sokol, Heather Hooper, and Yvonne Walker, and I have some terrific other colleagues, took actions and recommendations, and we will advance them to Kevin and the lawmakers to make sure that they can take the next step in action so that we can provide greater opportunities for Californians. That action, coupled with the minimum wage action, shows that we are taking affirmative steps to stop the wealth concentration and to make sure that we fulfill the California ideal where everybody, those rungs of opportunity are in fact available for all Californians. So Kevin, in 2012, the legislature, under your leadership, created the Secure Choice Board, which I chair. You've given us the extraordinary charge to make sure that we came up with recommendations to come back to you about creating a proposal to cover 7 million Californians, hardworking Californians who are employed, whose employers did not provide them with the opportunity for some type of retirement plan. When you look at California, you know that we're incredibly gifted. We're incredibly blessed with the spirit of our people. We are the state of innovation, not only in our hearts, but also in our minds and our physical actions. So we ought to also be the epicenter of profound technological, social, and economic change. And Secure Choice represents that change. We are the grand-scale innovators, and it is fitting that we work to meet the retirement needs being shaped by this new economy. Other states are watching what we do in California. California, as typical, is at the forefront of this national movement, and this is the most significant change since the 1930s, under Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. I am extraordinarily proud of the work of my colleagues. It has worked hard, and I want to underscore, at no cost to the taxpayers of the state of California. We are going to present a plan for future generations. The young to middle-aged workers who I mentioned earlier do not have a retirement plan offered by their employers. Now, 3 critical points. Secure Choice gives workers a tool they can use to sidestep the looming likelihood of lifelong impoverishment. You shouldn't work and be poor in the state of California. Second, Secure Choice offers costs nothing to the taxpayers of California. And in fact, it can save taxpayers money. By enabling workers to provide for their retirement security, we can avoid having to go to taxpayer programs to fund them in the future. And then third, Secure Choice will help small businesses statewide attract, retain, and better meet their current future needs. Our research shows that 70 to 90% participation rate, and we know that's absolutely fantastic. And also, when you participate and when you create this automatic payroll with deduction, you increase participation by 15 times. These are absolutely staggering numbers that will change the future lives of so many Californians. Now, who are these workers? They include Latinos in agriculture and construction jobs, Asians working in retail and technical service jobs, African Americans in healthcare and social services, whites in food service and recreation jobs. They work in your neighborhood bicycle shop and your favorite restaurant. They also work in a San Francisco bookstore owned by Kristen Evans and her husband. Kristen's going to be next with us. She's here to share with us her story, and she's looking excitingly about what Secure Choice offers to her employers. But first, I'd like to introduce Mark Herbert. I want to thank Mark publicly for his extraordinary work with the small business majority. He works very enthusiastically and eagerly to make sure that the small business community gets the best public information.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer and Senate Pro Tem, for the opportunity to be here today, and congratulations to the board on the work done today to launch California Secure Choice. Small Business Majority is a national nonprofit small business education and advocacy organization, and we are proud to support Secure Choice on behalf of the millions of small businesses here in California. More than 96% of all businesses are small businesses, and they employ more than half of the private labor force. So when we talk about the economy, we're talking about small businesses. And small business owners know that their employees are not saving enough for retirement. And this is especially true even for small employers over the age of 50, those most in need of retirement security. Small businesses want to offer this opportunity for themselves and for their employees, but oftentimes administrative burden, costs, or the complicated nature of finding an adequate retirement product for them and their employees is too high of a barrier. And this is what Secure Choice is going to solve. It creates an opportunity and gives small business owners the opportunity to offer a retirement plan that's simple and low cost. With AARP, we recently released a poll that showed 2/3 of all California small business owners think this is a great idea, that this is a way that they can remain competitive, this is a way that they can offer benefits to their employees that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And so with that, we appreciate the opportunity to support Secure Choice. Secure Choice is good for Californians' economy and good for Californian small businesses. And with that, I'd love to introduce Kristen Evans, a small business owner in San Francisco.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Kristen Evans, and I own an independent bookstore in San Francisco's historic Haight-Ashbury neighborhood. We have 6 full-time and 6 part-time employees, and I'm delighted that I'm here today to support Secure Choice. The reality is that hundreds of thousands of small businesses like mine cannot afford the cost or the time to administer or simply do not offer a retirement plan. Secure Choice eliminates the cost and reduces the time it takes to administer a retirement plan for our employees. My community of Haight-Ashbury has numerous restaurants and retailers, most of which do employ hourly staff who are consumed with paying down student loans and making ends meet, and simply don't have a retirement plan option and are not thinking about saving for their future. Creating a portable retirement account with vetted financial investments, which employees would have the option to opt out of, will allow my business to be more competitive as compared to larger employers. In the long run, I believe Secure Choice is going to be great for small business, it's going to be great for small business employees, and I believe it'll be great for California because it overall creates a new culture of saving and planning for the future. Thank you.
Okay, we're happy to take any questions that you may have. Okay. With regards to legislation, we've introduced Senate Bill 1234 already. We will have a committee hearing the 22nd of April in the Senate, so it's been introduced already in the Senate. It will be in the PERS committee that is chaired by Senator Richard Pan. That will be April 22nd. And obviously, appropriations, the floor, we have to go through the assembly process. Presumably, assembly pers their appropriations, their floor, back to for any concurrence, and hopefully to the governor's desk sometime in July, or perhaps before July.
So do you have concerns that people who are automatically enrolled in this are using some of it as well?
What the board is doing right now, we're still a little ways off right now before we go live in green. The charge of the board is to come up with an instrument that is low cost, that's portable, and obviously do everything we can possibly to protect at minimum the principal. The objective of the board, obviously, is, you heard it from everybody here, is to provide workers, 7 million currently today, who have no access to any type of retirement security at their place of employment, DB or DC. So we already know right now what the repercussions are, or what the consequences are. Many folks are retiring late in life because they have to work a job or two to maintain any type of savings just to live. So one of the key issues, and we still have to work this out, is education, education, education. You may have heard earlier from some of the comments from the board members that at the end of the day, this is an investment. With any type of investment come risk. However, that being said, this is not a hedge fund of any sort. This is not looking for high yield. That's a risky bet for individuals whose margin to begin with is almost slim to non-existent. So it's a conservative investment over a course of time that the principal should be very, very safe. Yes, please.
And you ask an excellent question. The good thing is it's spurring financial innovation. There are discussions, in fact, AARP is helping to lead those conversations about sidecar vehicles. We understand that we're trying to protect a group of individuals, oftentimes who are low income, who have emergency needs. So by going to the financial community, by going to others, they're talking about creating sidecar vehicles, and that would require extended efforts so that you would create different types of opportunities for individuals so that they can save for retirement, but perhaps in the future take monies out for emergency situations. So there is that discussion that's starting to occur nationally.
Bueno, yo creo que el mayor número de nuestra gente latina emigrante a lo largo y ancho del estado de California, pues incluso en el país, no tienen acceso a algún tipo de cuenta de ahorros, inversiones para el futuro, pero particularmente para un programa para jubilarse aquí en este país. Esto sería un paso gigantesco, un paso proactivo para los trabajadores, sin importar, obviamente, ¿no? Su país de origen, religión, credo, etcétera, etcétera, para un plan, un programa de ahorros para jubilarse con dignidad y para elevar también los estándares también, porque mucha gente trabajadora siguen trabajando hasta los 70, 75, 78, 79 años, porque no les queda otra. Tienen que seguir trabajando para pagar el techo, agua y luz. Para mucha gente trabajadora, eso sería el primer programa en su vida. Y yo creo que es un programa, repito, proactivo para la gente trabajadora, particularmente aquellos de muy bajos recursos.
What is the goal here to put the savings plans in the hands of workers? How soon?
Who you what?
Oh, I'm the treasurer's office.
Okay. So, softball.
Let you answer I can answer my own questions.
I don't know what we decide on the back end. Lump sum or annuitize. I think that that's a question to be decided yet if you're referring to the back end. Obviously, we have to look at, what are the pros and cons to do on the back end. Obviously, we don't want folks to save, do a good job, be consistent, and then take one big lump sum and go to Las Vegas and blow it overnight. That's what we don't want. So we got to think about this very intelligently. And I know that the treasurer, the chair, along with our board members, are thinking what should be the process, whether it's optional, A or B, or one over the other. I don't have an answer as of yet right now, but we're a little bit, I think, a ways from that right there.
I think he was asking because we're excited.
Yes, that's it. So I guess, yes.
Can I ask a question? What do you think of the minimum wage deal?
What do I think about the minimum wage deal? I will give you all my thoughts and all my opinions, and I'll give you direct quotes in about 40 minutes. Give it to you at 12:30. But I will say this. Today is a special day in California and in the country, because irrespective of where you are on the political spectrum, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican, and irrespective of who your candidate is, a lot of folks are talking at the national level. And in Washington, D.C., you have a lot of think tank groups, who debate and discuss and churn out white papers on these issues. What is so special about today, Monday, is that with Secure Choices Board's action today, we're actually not talking about this. We're actually doing something about this. And today, we just announced the great step forward with retirement security, secure choice for California, which will have real ramifications for the entire nation. As stated earlier today, Illinois and Oregon are following what California is doing. There's 15 other nations that have introduced or planning to introduce legislation in their own respective legislative bodies. The other parts of the country, in fact, even the world, are watching very closely what we're doing here in California with the actions of the Secure Board and with the following actions of the legislative branch and then eventually the governor. So this is very exciting, because this is what innovation feels like. This is what cutting edge feels like. Sometimes we don't have all the answers. They're not black and white. They're not before us, because we're way out there. We're ahead of the curve. Obviously, Social Security is not enough for our fellow Americans and Californians to survive on. And as John had mentioned earlier, California is a state of innovation. It's a state of first. And that's why this is exciting. It's exciting because in about 40 minutes, you're going to hear a press conference on the issue of minimum wage. While we have other states rolling back prospective minimum wage initiatives, we're moving forward. We're moving forward for working Californians. We're moving forward for working Californians with regards to retirement security. This is a very important topic. The reason why is because retirement security is so ambiguous. It's so vague. It's so out there. It's a concept that actually is not with us here today. It's not tangible and it's real. It's only real and tangible once you find out, I'm 65 and I have no other streams of revenue or income and I have to go out and work. And what I find interestingly is that my aunt or my mother, had my mother lived today, she would easily have worked well into her 70s. She would have been maybe in her mid 70s today. She would have been working today. And she would have been taking care of folks in La Jolla and in Coronado who were the hedge fund investors, who were the folks who invested for Charles Schwab, T. Rowe Price or Vanguard and other big funds in the United States. And what we're doing right now is we're providing a modicum of dignity and respect, and something that's sustainable for working Californians. Now, this is not a partisan issue. This is the beauty of this. It is a Republican, it is a Democrat, it is decline the state, it's a people issue, giving them that type of support. And with the Secure Choice Board, because this is very complex, this is not easy. Well, we want to do retirement security, let's just do it. Let's just pull the trigger. They have deliberated and they have worked on this and worked with Overture for over 2 years. John and I have gone on numerous occasions to Washington, D.C. to meet with the Treasury, to meet with the Department of Labor, to meet with the White House, a few members here or there, on the Hill. But because this was an executive action per the direction of President Obama I'm sorry, not the Treasury, but I should say to DOL and Tom Perez, we have really advanced the ball. Had we not done this, no one in the state, or I should say no one in the country, would even be having this discussion. We've advanced so far. That's why other states like New York, Maryland, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, Utah, even places like you'd never think, Arizona, are interested in what we're doing in California. Because if Washington, D.C. can't do it because of the paralysis, because of the severe dysfunction on the Hill, we will do it. Okay?